Hi, hello everybody. Hello everyone. I hope you're well. Hope you're doing well. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Thank you so much if you're joining me live or if you're watching on the replay. This is different from our usual schedule, but you know what? I'm thinking that maybe we should just move our live streams to Sundays at this point because this is such a convenient time, I think. But anyway, yes, I apologize that we couldn't make it on Friday. And if you saw my community post, it's just been a busy week. We've had a lot to get through at home. So I just thought, you know what? I think I'm probably better off just postponing this so I can deliver this fresh and at my best capacity, not sort of tired and stressed from everything that's been going on. So that's why we moved it to today. But I'm really excited to talk to you about this, to share some thoughts about this new drug. Well, not so new, but new in terms of being able to use it. It's been in the pipeline for some time, so it's not new. But of course, it's recently been licensed, and it means so much to women when it comes to menopause treatment. So that's why I wanted us to talk about this. If you want to share your thoughts, or if it's something you're just hearing about for the first time, listen, ask questions about what the drug will do, how it works, and so on and so forth. We're going to try and address some of those issues today's live stream. So welcome if you're watching this live. It's great to have you here. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Tell me if you've heard about this drug. Let me just put it up for those who may not have heard anything about it. Here it is. Fezolinetant is the name of the drug, or Vioza, and I'm just going to call it Fizo because for the sake of this live stream, because Fezolinetant is a bit of a mouthful. But yeah, this is what we're going to be talking about today. So yeah, if you're watching this live, do say hello. Where are you watching from? Why are you interested in this? Is it you you're watching it about, or someone that you know, a mom, sister, or someone you want to hear about this, what this drug might mean in terms of our menopause treatment? And yeah, which country are you watching from? Because so far this drug is available in just one part of the world at the moment. So maybe you're in the US where it's already been licensed. I don't know. I would just love to hear from you, your thoughts about this drug and impact or implication for women with menopause symptoms. Okay, so welcome. My name is AskDrSylvia. I'm a general practitioner. I'm also the founder of Askawayhealth, where we love to talk about everything with regards to your health, especially women's health and sexual health. So if this is something that you're interested in, welcome. Please like this video. And guys, we are nearly at 20,000. I was going through the videos not too long ago, and I was thinking, it's not that long when we were at 200 subscribers, and the idea of 20,000 seemed very far away. But we've done it with you guys' support. We're there. We're nearly there. So I think it's just another step to get to 200,000, isn't it? We can make it happen. Anyway, I hope you're all doing fine. So we're talking about this new drug that's just been released, or that's just been approved a couple of weeks ago in the United States, and which, if the sound bites we are hearing from the media are true, we should have it available in the United Kingdom, they say, by the end of this year. And that information is coming from the Guardian newspaper I'm going to share this with you in a moment. Oh, yeah, here it is. Let me just hang on a second. Let me share it properly. Get rid of this and bring up the right page of the Guardian. I had the page open and somehow it just disappeared. This is amazing. Okay, so let me share this with you. So this, according to this post, I've been having gremlins all day. For some reason, before we started, there was a problem with screen share. So I hope this is going to work. Let's see. Give me a second, guys. I'm sorry about this, but it's really not my fault. I don't know why the computer isn't picking this up as it should, but I just want to share with you the Guardian article. So hopefully this is sharing. I don't know. Oh, okay. Hopefully it is sharing. Okay, so this is the article. So we're going to be referring to this every so often, but we're going to be talking about it. So what is this Fezolinetant? Why are we excited about it? What exactly is going on? Okay. The main thing, just by way of introduction, is that this is a drug that's been developed that has no hormones. If you know anything about menopause, then you know about the treatments. The most common treatment that we have for menopause is the hormone replacement therapy, or HRT, which is full of hormone, which is a combination or one of the hormones estrogen and progesterone. So the exciting thing, or the most exciting thing about this drug, and there are a couple of other things that are interesting, is that it has none of these hormones. So concerns about the possible effect of hormones is removed with this drug. So it could be a very big deal or a game changer, because it's actually marketed for women who cannot have hormones for one reason or the other. So if you're just joining, hi and welcome to the live. I'm really happy that you could join. Please let me know what your thoughts are about this new drug. We're talking about Fezolinetant, and I'm going to share what it is and how it works in a moment. But this is the article in The Guardian, which is from the 20th of May. So just last week, well, just over a week now, when it was published. It's been approved in the US. I think that was on the 12th of May. Yes, it was licensed in the US on the 12th of May. And they say it could be approved for use in the UK by the end of the year. So that's where we are. That's what we're talking about. And if you read through the whole article, the studies, people who have studied the drug, and of course, the manufacturers are very excited about the possibilities that this can mean for women going through the menopause. But first, let's just quickly bring ourselves up to speed, because I also want this to be a tutorial class, and I want us to come to grips with what we're talking about. Menopause, of course, is a normal life event. It's something that many women will go through. Menopause is a normal transition. It simply means the end of it means the end of your menses, really, is what that menopause means. And it means the end of a woman's reproductive life, so that she's no longer able to, she's no longer having her cycles, she's no longer producing eggs, she's no longer able to get pregnant. That is what menopause means. Now, it is not an illness, it's a normal life event, it's not a medical condition, but when a woman gets to the stage where she's menopausal, she may have certain conditions. Women who are going through menopause or around that age are at increased risk of things like heart disease, osteoporosis, that's thinning bones, diabetes, osteoarthritis, depression, dementia, because the change with menopause is associated with one of the key things is reducing levels of the hormone estrogen. Okay, so these are some of the things that can happen around menopause, which is a natural life event, a time of transition or a time of ending of one phase of a woman's life. But in addition to that, some women do have symptoms around menopause. Some women have menopause symptoms, and those are the ones that we are trying to address with this medication. So here's my graphic I want to share with us about the different types of menopause symptoms. And you can see, if you go through the list, there's a lot. I think I probably have over 40 or so on the list. Things like mood swings, anxiety, difficulty concentrating, dizziness, depression, irritability, memory problems, dry, itchy skin, hot flushes, of course, night sweats you've all heard about, body odor, acne, electric shock sensations, pain in the joint, changes in sex drive, changes in weight, burning tongue, gum problems, stress, incontinence, tiredness, sleeping problems. There is a whole lot of things that women go through. Some women, don't get me wrong, not every woman going through the menopause has symptoms. Please, only some women will go through this. So some women have symptoms around menopause. And of course, this is why a lot of effort was put into finding a solution, because this can mean incredible suffering for a group of women. So a lot of effort has gone into finding solutions, treatments, and that is how we arrived at HRT and all the other things that are available for addressing menopause. And the main benefit of HRT is that it can help to relieve most of the menopausal symptoms, like the ones that you just saw on my graphic there, but particularly things like the hot flushes, which is when a wave of heat suddenly comes upon the woman. You're not in a hot environment, you've not been exercising, there's no external trigger. You don't have a fever, you're not ill, you don't have an infection that gives you a fever, you're not taking medication that could do that to you. This is a change in your body, a change in the thermoregulatory system in your brain as a result of the fact that you now have low estrogen, and it causes these hot flushes which are usually accompanied by night sweats, to start happening. So HRT is supposed to address this, and it can also help with mood swings, vaginal dryness, reduced sex drive that many women who have menopause symptoms can experience. Now, many of these symptoms will disappear, okay, as the estrogen levels eventually settle down and, taper down. They will settle down eventually, but it can take a few years. So this is suffering for a good number of years, 7, sometimes 8 years or longer, that some women experience menopause symptoms without treatment. That's a lot of suffering, a lot of unpleasantness, a lot of being unable to function properly that a woman might experience. And it's at that age where women they've got a lot of experience. It can be a time of life where you want to use your experience to do new things. It's not the end of a woman's life by any means. It's at that time when she's probably finished sorting out her children, they've left home and they're doing their own thing. She might want to run business. She might want to do other things that she couldn't do, or she couldn't juggle while she was raising small kids or doing other things. But then some women are hampered because of these symptoms. So it's really important that we are looking at what treatments that are effective and that can help women, provide relief for women. So HRT has all these benefits. It also helps to prevent the weakening of bones, which is something else that is common in menopause. And many studies have shown that when women start HRT, usually within the first 10 years of starting menopause, it can help to reduce their risk of heart problems, type 2 diabetes, dementia, cancer of the bowel, osteoarthritis, and even death. This is proof from studies. So what is it? I mean, HRT definitely has its benefits. I think it's important to say that. But in some cases, it doesn't. In some cases, it doesn't help. In some cases, it may come with side effects and it might have some risks. So let's quickly talk about that, because that brings us to why this new drug. So let me see if I've got this one right. Is this one? Is it that one? Okay, yes, this is the one I want to share with you. So this is this slide that tells us about the possible side effects. So with all these HRT benefits I've just poured into your ears, it could still have certain negative effects. Some of the side effects you might have with HRT are things like I've listed on the graphic here that I hope you can see: bloating, breast pain or tenderness, swelling, headaches, nausea or feeling sick, leg cramps, headache, bleeding, back pain. So whether you're taking the combined HRT or you're only taking one of the hormones, estrogen only, you might experience these side effects. But what about the risks? I think that's the one that women also put in their head a lot. Why HRT itself got a bad reputation, and this is going back a number of years now, about 20 years now. There was this study called the Women's Health Initiative that was published. The way it's reported, apparently the results of the study were leaked to the press early before they could be properly interpreted or analyzed. And so the fear, that HRT causes cancer, I think that was the most prevalent thing that people came away when this study was prematurely announced. And so it didn't have the benefit. It took a long time for scientists and doctors to be able to walk back some of the damaging effects and come clean with the truth about HRT, that it has these benefits, but there are also certain risks associated with it, just not to the extent that the initial publication 20 years ago caused. So it's important to be very clear, to be honest, that yes, it does carry some risks. There's a small risk of breast cancer that's associated with combined HRT that is related to the length of time that you're taking it. There's also a small risk of having blood clots with HRT, and there's a small risk of experiencing heart disease like a heart attack or stroke if you're taking HRT. So it's important that when we're having that discussion, if you're choosing to have HRT, you need to be aware of these risks. We need to be looking at whether you have any underlying medical problems that mean that HRT is not suitable for you. I'm going to share that graphic in a second, and then taking an informed decision. This is where women have been with HRT. The other thing that's important to say is that, the scientists haven't been just sort of sitting on their toes, to be fair. A lot of different things have been happening with regards to addressing the safety concerns for HRT. For example, developing body identical HRT which is the other name for it is using micronized progesterone, or a natural progesterone is what it's called, which is a type of progesterone that is chemically identical to the human one, different from the synthetic ones that we find in things like the pill, the birth control medicines, and so on. So that has been developed because it seems to have a safer profile. Then the other things that have been developed over time is looking for safer ways of taking HRT. So not just the tablet, you also have things like the gel, the sprays, the patches that can be used, and they're less likely to be associated with blood clots. And we've even gone as far as looking at adding testosterone to hormone therapy as a cream or gel, because that can improve some of those menopause symptoms like sexual function and general well-being, all that tiredness and all that. It's been found that adding testosterone via the skin preparation, by the as a cream or gel, can also help women with thinking, the memory problems and all that they experience during menopause. So a lot of those things have happened because we saw that HRT is important, but women were struggling with some of the side effects. So HRT is not suitable for some women. Let me see if this is the list of, So these are the group of women who cannot have HRT. So a woman might fall into this category and she's stuck because she can't have HRT. For example, if there's a history of breast, ovarian, or womb cancer, if she's suffered with blood clots, if she's had she's got high blood pressure that's not treated, if she's got liver disease, if she's pregnant. Don't forget that it's still possible to get pregnant. Hang on a second, guys. It's still possible to get pregnant while taking HRT. And so what you remember that menopause, let's define menopause. I should have done that at the beginning, actually. So when you haven't had a menstrual period for 12 months, then we say that you have you've reached menopause. You are at menopause. You've not had a menstrual bleed for 12 months, okay? Before that time, there's still a small possibility of pregnancy. So if you're not prepared for that, if that is not what you want, you might still need to use contraception until when you finished the last period and it's been a good 12 months since you had a period. That's when you say, okay, you don't need any contraception anymore. So commonly we would say that women under the age of 50 should continue using contraception, or for a year after the age of 50, they need to continue using contraception. So these are the women for whom HRT is not suitable. And I think on my other slide, I had the alternatives that we had to HRT before now, because I don't want to talk about fezolinetant. I really want to lay the ground for why we need something like fezolinetant, this new drug. So all we had before me, these are the things that we would say to this group of women who could not or did not want to have HRT. We would say to them, lifestyle measures. Guys, thank you so much for joining. I know a couple of people are joining the stream. Please feel free to say hi, drop a comment if you want to. We're talking about this new hormone-free method for menopause. And I'm just going through the background, how we got here. Let me know if you've got any questions on this topic, please. And of course, don't forget that we have a one-on-one service. If you go to the website, askawayhealth.org, you can use our email health information service as well, to send a question directly to me or schedule a face-to-face meeting. Anyway, back to the topic, HRT alternatives. So all we had for women who could not or did not want to have HRT were advising on lifestyle measures. There's evidence that regular exercise, a healthy diet, cutting down on coffee, alcohol, stop smoking, doing all those things can help with some of the symptoms of menopause, can help to improve general well-being, can help to improve things like sleep and some of the other symptoms I presented earlier. There are also some other drugs that are not hormone drugs, which may have some effect. For example, antidepressants may be able to help with the hot flushes and night sweats. There's a drug called tibolone, which is similar to HRT, but it may not be as effective for some women. And then there's another drug called clonidine, which is a non-hormone medicine that could also help to reduce hot flushes and night sweats in some women, but the benefits were not very much. So basically, these are methods that women had available as alternatives to HRT. And you can see that the drugs were not as effective. HRT is truly, up until this point, the most effective treatment for, at least for hot flushes and night sweats. That was really the most effective that we had. Now, you say, oh, you've not talked about natural therapies or natural treatments. Yeah, I will talk about them, because they are part of the menopause story. Some women don't want to have any of these drugs, and I think it's important to recognize how important that they are, that these complementary therapies are. Several products like evening primrose, black cohosh, ginseng, St. John's wort, and all that, they are marketed for helping menopause. Now, some of the evidence that we have suggests that some of them can help to reduce hot flushes, but there isn't enough scientific evidence for us to allow them to be used in mainstream, because we're not sure about the right doses to use and how long the benefits last, and maybe the interaction with other medicines. So for those reasons, we don't have as much robust studies on these natural products, which some women decide that they want to use, and some may find benefit, others might not, and so on and so forth. So these are the treatments that we had up until this point. These are the things that we had up until this point, where fezolinetant was introduced. It's also known as Veozah. So let's talk a little bit about fezolinetant. This is a new alternative to HRT. This has been in the works, like I said earlier, for some time. It does not just suddenly come into our arena. But what's the critical thing is that it has been licensed for use for the first time ever in the world, and that was in the United States on the 12th of May. It's the first non-hormonal menopause drug available, and I understand that there are other pharmaceutical companies working on similar drugs. This one, fezolinetant or Veozah, is made by AskDrSylvia, which is a large multinational pharmaceutical company. I am not affiliated with any pharmaceutical company. I'm just interested in looking at the drug and seeing what it does and if it does what it says on the tin. So the belief about this drug is that, I think I have this written down so you can follow me. Let me see. Okay, so it's the first non-hormonal menopause drug. It's been in research for maybe around 10 years or just under 10 years, made by AskDrSylvia. And it's believed that it's a treatment that could be transformative for women who cannot have HRT. So those are the people in particular. And that's why I shared with you that slide looking at the women who can't have HRT. Guys, please leave a like. Don't forget to like this video and drop a comment, especially if you're watching on replay. Let me know if you find this kind of information helpful. Thank you so much for your support as well. So this is what is exciting about the fezolinetant, Fezo. Okay, not only is it non-hormonal, they've said it reduced the frequency of hot flushes by about 60% in women with moderate or severe symptoms of menopause. Excuse me. Compared with a 45% reduction in those who received the placebo. So during trials, they were comparing the impact of the drug in women who were taking the medicine against those who were not taking, or taking a dummy, a drug without any physical or effect. That's the placebo. It's not going to have any effect. You might think you're taking something, but you're taking something that is inert. It's not going to cause any change. That's your body. So they were making the comparison. And in the women who were taking the placebo, that is a drug that a preparation that has no effect at all, they found a 45% reduction. And that can happen. That can happen because just the belief that you're taking something, that you're having treatment, we know of the placebo effect. It is real. So they had a 45% reduction in hot flushes. But those who were taking the real deal, the real McCoy, those ones had 60% reduction in hot flushes, I beg your pardon. They also said that the drug reduced the severity of hot flushes and improved the quality of their sleep. So like I've said hundreds of times already on this stream, it was approved for use in the US on the 12th of May, just literally 2 weeks ago plus, and likely to come to our shores in the United Kingdom. So we're getting ready to lace up our shoes and, let's get this drug out. It's gone through a lot of different trials, phase 3 trials, and in different parts of the world, so US, Canada, and Europe. So with this information that we have on fezolinetant, let's ask, I wanted us to look at the questions around this drug. These are the fantastic things that they're saying about it. So I made some notes and I wanted to look at, a few things, the small print of this drug. So the primary aim of this drug is it is intended for women with moderate to severe menopause symptoms, okay? And in particular, the manufacturers say it is meant to reduce the frequency and severity of the main menopause symptoms, hot flushes and night sweats. Now, it's meant to be taken once daily. It's a 45 milligram dose. It's what's been recommended from that's been approved for use in the US, and it's taken by mouth. So it's a tablet. It's once daily, and you can take it with or without food. Like I said, it's for women with moderate to severe menopause symptoms. By the time it gets to the UK and we're looking at approval, of course, going to go through different trials, and then they decide who it's going to be suitable for and the strength and so on and so forth. But this is as it is for the United States. They come as light red, round coated, film coated tablets. Okay, so this is the drug. This is the drug. So hot flushes and night sweats, I bet if anybody asks you menopause symptoms, that's the first thing you talk about, of course, because they're the most common symptoms. They can disrupt a woman's life. 70% of women going through menopause experience hot flushes. That is how common it is. But how does this drug work? How did the people that formulated this drug? And if you read the Guardian article that I shared earlier, if you read the article, oh, hang on, no, not that one. Oh, yes, it is. So if you read this article through to the end, it tells you, describes how the drug works. It describes the trials, quite a lot of detail in there. So if you've got the time, and I will place the link for the article in the description box once I've had a few moments after this video, after this live stream ends. But basically, what it does is it's not a hormone. Remember, it hasn't got those hormones, estrogens. Now, normally what happens is that between the body's estrogen and a certain chemical in the brain called neurokinin B, there is a balance, and that balance regulates the body's temperature control center in the hypothalamus. Okay, so there is a balance that keeps your temperature regulation going as it should, responding as it should. Okay, and that is a balance between the level of estrogen and this brain chemical known as neurokinin B. Around the time of menopause, because estrogen levels fall, there is an imbalance. An imbalance happens. Hormone imbalance is the cause of many problems. And here we go, it's happening again. There's an imbalance because estrogen levels fall, and that affects the ability of the body to regulate or control temperature properly. And that is how, according to the researchers, that is how hot flushes and night sweats develop. So what fezolinetant does is to help to restore that balance by blocking neurokinin B in the brain, in the temperature control center, in order to reduce the number and intensity of the flushes. So that's how it works. It's not going to add estrogen, the way HRT does. It's not going to affect the increase the amount of estrogen or progesterone. Is acting to block this chemical neurokinin B in the brain, and by so doing restore the balance that would help to regulate, that will help the temperature regulating system in the hypothalamus to work properly. So this is what this drug is doing. That's how it works. I think the next interesting question, now that we know how it works, is how safe is it? So I decided to have a look at, what evidence. There's not much in the Guardian article, but if you go and look at there is a publication from the FDA, which they usually do, but if you go and look at that, I'll see if I can put that up now for us to have a quick look at. Otherwise, I'll leave the link for you in the description box to have a look through yourself. But in terms of its safety, so the different trials have been held for fezolinetant, like I said. There was one held between June 2019 and August 2021, where over 2,000 women used either a placebo. Remember, placebo is a drug or preparation that contains no power. It can't work. It is nothing. It's actually inert. It is a preparation. It's like taking plain water, basically. It's just like taking nothing. It's like taking a pill that has no medicinal effect. Okay. So these women were given a placebo, or they gave them different doses of fezolinetant. And what they noticed was improvements in their in how often they were getting those hot flushes and night sweats for those who were taking the fezolinetant as early as 1 week after they started. And this feeling, this effect was maintained over a whole year, 52 weeks. Okay, now all of these women in the different groups, including those on the placebo, taking the low dose fezolinetant, high dose, they had side effects, they developed side effects. Now, I need to add that before taking fezolinetant, you need to have a blood test to check your liver function, because one of the side effects is potentially increasing the liver enzymes. So it might cause inflammation in the liver, it might cause liver problems, is what that is telling me. And the literature, the marketing, the drug information with the FDA also tells us that there's some women who cannot have fezolinetant. So let me just read those out. Those women who have liver disease, like liver cirrhosis, women who have severe renal disease or renal impairment or end-stage renal disease, or women who are taking certain drugs that have a particular enzyme inhibitor. And those drugs, there's a whole list of them. For example, drugs like simethicone, which you use for excess acid, or drugs like ciprofloxacin, which is an antibiotic, drugs like estrogen, ethinyl estradiol, some antifungal drugs. So this is why it's important, before we start you on this medicine, your doctor needs to say a couple of things your doctor needs to be sure about. That is liver function that is fine, that is working normally, and that you're not taking any of those medicines that could interact with fezolinetant, increase its levels in the body, and cause more symptoms. So that's something to be aware of. So the most serious side effects that they reported are increased liver enzymes, and that was in about 2.3% of women who took this drug. However, it wasn't the most common. It was the most serious, but not the most common. So the liver enzymes going up was a recognized effect, but not the most common. The most common were things like tummy pain, diarrhea, insomnia, back pain, hot flush, and like I've mentioned, the liver enzymes going up were not as common, but the most common ones were tummy pain, diarrhea, insomnia, back pain. Now, if you remember when I shared with you the side effects and risks of HRT, I mean, these are clearly quite different. I would want to say that we've had HRT a lot longer than we've had fezolinetant, so of course there's some side effects that we don't know of. And this is a new drug, and remember that, you know, with new drugs there are certain risks, of course, and side effects will continue to be picked up as the drug is released and is being used by the population. Now, I thought something else that was really important about the trials or the studies was the characteristic of women that they use that took this drug, because it's no good. You can't say something is for all women if you haven't tested it in all different types of women, different ages or different conditions or different ethnicities. So in terms of the some of the characteristics of the women, majority of them, or the average age is better. Average age of these women who had already gone past menopause was 54. So of course you have to ask yourself the question, how will it benefit women who are younger than 54, maybe late 40s, for example? That's something to think about. It may not. The other thing that was interesting was, and of course, this is reflective of the fact of where they performed the studies. They said they did studies in US, Europe, and Canada. So the majority of women were identified, 81% of them identified as Caucasian, 81 as a big chunk, while 17% identified as African American, and Asian identified as 1%. 1% of them identified as Asian. So there isn't a very big ethnic mix for this drug, and of course I'm concerned about that, because we've had issues about drug use and, you know, response or uptake of drugs. You know, we're just coming off the back of the pandemic and the COVID vaccine, and remember the issues we had around uptake, because some groups did not trust the drug, and a lot of that happens when you don't test it in people that are like them. So, but to balance that, sometimes some people, some groups of women or some ethnicities do not want to get involved in these trials, and I don't blame them at all. These are just the challenges that we have to live with. So it may be that even if African American women are approached to undertake this trial, they might think back to the syphilis Tuskegee trials of how many years ago, maybe in the 60s, I think it was, and say, no, I'm not having this drug because you just want to use me as a guinea pig. So some acts, historical acts, have caused so much damage. They have really. So this was the spread in one of the studies. Majority of the women tested were Caucasians. The average age was 54. And they did include women who had different, it wasn't just a woman who didn't have any medical condition and who didn't have any problems. They included women who have had a hysterectomy, who've had their ovaries taken away, who've used HRT before. So they had a nice mix, which I think is useful, because if you only test women who are, quote unquote, they've never had any of these conditions, will you get the same or similar outcome to those other women? So it's good that you test it on a nice mix of different people, so you can tell how well or what exactly this drug will do. And they've also mentioned that those who had HRT had a washout period. That's useful to note as well, so that any results they're seeing was not from HRT. They allowed a washout period before those ladies could start Fezolinetant. Now, I also think it's important to mention that they found womb changes. They found one change, thickening of the womb. We call it endometrial hyperplasia, and one case of womb cancer in one of the trials. In fact, let me share that FDA document. I will put it up on the link when I'm done with this slide, but I just want you to see. Let me see if I can find it. Just give me a second, guys. So it's not very clear. I think it was out of 350 women that they were looking at this particular effect. They did say that they tested for cancer and the fertility effects using animals, using rats, and they did the study over 2 years. Okay, and they said there was no evidence of changes, carcinogenic changes. I don't know if I'm sharing this. Let me hang on a second. I'm not sharing it with you. Let me share. Sorry, guys. Let me share. Okay, let us share this one. So this is the FDA document. So this is, let's go to the very top. So this document is highlights of the prescribing information for Fezolinetant, approved May 2023. And you can see at the top, when you look in the search bar, it's accessdata.fda.gov. Don't know why it doesn't mention, maybe it's somewhere. Full prescribing information. So this information is available on the internet if you wanted to sit down and read through it. The bit that I'm interested in and I want to be clear of, and so that we're just aware, is let me see, where is it now? So effects on the endometrium, that's the womb. So when they looked at certain trials, they found endometrial biopsy as identified one case of endometrial hyperplasia, that's thickening, and one case of endometrial malignancy. So that is comparatively, I think, out of 350. Now, I'm not sure of these figures, to be fair. It is a comparatively small number, and what you don't know is whether, was I sharing or not? I don't know. I hope you could see that. Let me try that again. Oh, dear me. So let's see. No, it's not showing. Okay, let me see if I can do this again. Bear with me. You know, guys, I was telling you that I had I don't think the share screen is working for some reason. Yeah, it's not working. Do you know what? I will place the link in the description. I'm just trying it one more time to see if I can get it up for you, but I don't think it's allowing me to share for some reason or the other. No, it's not. That's a shame. Anyway, I will put the link in the description box below, but I was just reading off it and I was saying that there was one case of endometrial cancer, but I was just about to say that What we don't know is whether that person would have gone ahead to develop womb cancer anyway, and it was nothing to do with the drug. So these are some of the issues that you have around there, but it was just the one that was picked up with the use of this drug. So what else did they find? So I thought those were useful. They did test amongst women of different ethnicities, but not a very big number for other ethnic groups apart from Caucasians. And they found, I think it's useful just to mention about how this could mean so much for many women. There are many women who cannot have HRT. HRT is extremely effective for some of those symptoms we've talked about, but there's some women who cannot have it. So getting an alternative that will provide relief is very useful. And so this is a welcome development. We still need a lot more information about, I think we still need a lot more information about side effects and risks of taking this medicine. 2-year studies on rats. But obviously, by the time it's been in circulation for a lot longer, then we will be clearer about other possible associations that this drug may have. But it's welcome development. It starts working within the first week. In fact, the Guardian paper, I think they interviewed a lady who was part of the study, and she was so thrilled. She was so thrilled. So you can imagine how this would make such a big difference for women who want to use this because they could not get relief from HRT since they couldn't have it, or for some other reason. So guys, this has been my review of the little we know about this drug, Fezolinetant. It is the first of many, I'm sure, to come on this arena of non-hormone drugs, which can be used by women who, for some reason or the other, cannot have HRT or hormone therapy or do not wish to have it. And it's meant for treating moderate to severe symptoms. It's already licensed for use in the United States. So if you're just hearing about it for the first time from here, you can run to your gynecologist to talk to them about this. And we're expecting to have it licensed in the UK sometime, maybe later this year or next year. We don't know. You're not 100% certain. But it looks like it might be a game changer. We just need to be very careful about some of the effects that we don't know of, because it's obviously a new drug, and just be cautious. I think the important thing is about monitoring, regular monitoring, and being able to balance the risk, pros and cons of taking these drugs long-term versus the terrible symptoms that women might experience. So I would love to know your thoughts. Yes, I would love to know what you think about this drug. Is it a game changer? Do you think it's something that you would recommend, you would use yourself, or would recommend for your older sister or your mom to use? Let me know what you think. And ladies in their 20s or 30s, don't think that menopause is not part of your radar. It's a matter of time, and it's good to be aware of some of the things that we are going through, that we're talking about when it comes to menopause. That is a big chunk or big time of a woman's life where potentially she can be so driven and effective in other ways apart from things that she was doing when she was younger. You might find that this is a time when women are sharing their own companies, leading different projects, doing so many different things, and how hampering if they suffer with menopause symptoms. So guys, I hope I have been able to introduce this medicine to you, or at least shared my thoughts about it, some of the pros and cons. Let me know what you think in the comment section, especially if you're watching on the replay. Thank you so much to the guys that joined me live. I think some of them are still here. I don't know where you're watching from, and I don't know what your comments are, but I'm glad that you stuck around with me up to this point. Thank you. Go and check out a video we just published a couple of days ago looking at post-pregnancy complications. I shared the experience of a popular Nigerian Instagram star who was very good enough to talk on her YouTube channel about some of the things that her eye had seen in her 12 months after having her baby. And it was just good to, reflect on some of the things that she said, were they her own unique experience, or are these things that women would generally go through. So please go and check out that video if it's something that you're interested in, or you think that somebody around you who's just had a baby and it would be useful for them to have that information. All right, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your time. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye, guys.